Yeah. Yes, I have a new transition. I forgot to put it in the credits panel, but I love it very much. It is by Jay, also called QWERQ Creative. They have a YCH stinger, and it's so good. I love it very much. Yeah. I love the eyeball. We're gonna switch to another screen really quickly so you can take a look at it again. Woo! I love it so much. It's so cute. Yeah, good. Guten Morgen Monday. Hello, Azzy. Hello, Roy. Yaho. I hope y'all are doing well. Oh, I forgot. We actually finished. Immediately sleepy. We already finished the first court section and we're just interrogating Young right now. Evangeline Morgan. I don't remember what voice I gave her. There are too many women in this game. That's not a bad thing. I just don't have enough voices. Oh, gato. I took a sip and looked to my right and I found two yellow orbs staring at me. Hello, it is I. The weakest link and the only link. I'm sorry if you hear crunching noises. Ellen Young, thank you for making time in your schedule. Her posture, her tone, the fold of her clothes. Professional, tiled up to 11. Corporate armor, a full set. Her guard is up. Just Morgan is fine. I'm feeding the starving cat before I sleep. I hope he's doing well. Hi, Tempe. How are you? I can't see the screen. There is a cat hanging out right in front of it. Welcome, welcome. Happy birthday, Kirby. Happy birthday, Kirby. Hello. How are you? Did you have fun? It looks so fun. I don't think I've ever played Kirby's Epic Yarn before, but now I want to play it because of you. Happy Morgan Monday. Hi, Sophie. I no longer see the screen again. Right now, my cat is literally... I am doing well. How are you? Oh god, you're at 75 logins now. Hi. He's looking at me like I insulted his parents. He is trying to sit on my controller. Hey, bud. You want this little right here? Little inside corner just for you. I I literally cannot see the screen. I'm sorry if anybody is saying anything. Oh, if you don't know me, hello, I am Shiki_turd. I have a cat, as you can see, who is in the middle of the screen. Meow. Are you happy, sir? I play games on Monday and Wednesday, and I draw or write or do some other creative endeavor on Fridays. Meow. Thank you for the raid, Timpy. If you need to raid and run, to eat, sleep, drink water, take care of yourself, please do not be afraid to do so. And thank you once again for the raid. I appreciate it. He said treats now. Okay. He has gotten off of my desk. Oh no. I hope you vote soon. Yes, please go. Chop. Thank you. I hope you have a great Morgan Monday as well. Currently, we are playing Of the Devil Episode 1. So if you have never played it and you are interested, please be aware that there may be some spoilers for Episode 0. Good night, Moe. I'm assuming that means you're gonna go to sleep. Thank you for dropping by for a little bit. You're just a few minutes early, Morgan. Typical corporate, never be the first one to show up pissing contest nonsense. It doesn't even make sense. They called me in here. How could I possibly be early? I'm going to save. Flip the script. Oh, that's embarrassing. I didn't mean to catch you all off guard. I'll go wait outside in that case so you all can collect yourself. I'm just surprised that Noble Electronics could screw up something as simple as a meeting start time. But I'm not well versed in the art of staring at email. You've made your point, counselor. Don't push your luck. Not with these people. Might I dare ask who these people are? Tig is good. Tiki can Deutsch? Why are their pens being pointed at me? Okay, good night. You don't have time to remember their names, and it won't do you much good either. Right, so they're not just rich, they're anonymous rich. The Mock Act guarantees a minimum level of security and peace of mind for any citizen who might be targeted due to their financial status. What? That's... hilarious. Sorry. The PRAA is supposed to protect the safety of individuals with income above the 99th percentile of the nation. That's... okay. Anyways. Spoken like a true believer. Except mob acts is what normal people call it. Tooting the party line, but allowing yourself one instance of rebellion. Or just a slip of the tongue. What? Wait, I don't understand. I don't understand. I would never fault anyone for wanting their privacy, especially not job creators. But it must get pretty inconvenient not having a name to call them. Not really. Conversations with them are always one-sided. Sounds like a great environment to do business in. Look at the building you're standing in. We managed to eke out a meager profit somehow. So if it works, didn't take you for the might makes right type. And I didn't take you for a clueless bore incapable of reading the room. Sorry, did I say something off color? I was only being casual since it's just the two of us in here. Maybe we should take advantage of this rare bit of privacy. Clear the air? You're here to ask about Sarah, yes? As I said before, I had no idea that Dr. Asher had been building an android on his private property. And I can say here and now that no one at Noble Electronics ever suspected that he was working to undermine the tenant framework. She's trying to sound candid in her tone, but she's choosing her words with the surgeon's scalpel. Was she coached? Is that the truth, or is that your statement as VP of Android Futures? It's both, of course. Dr. Asher was always more than happy to hold himself up and work independently. We both know that. True, he could be pretty reclusive. I'm sure it caused all kinds of headache, him disappearing on you all like that. Must have been especially difficult when he came back with breakthroughs that propelled Noble to the top of the industry. You should take a seat. If that's everyone, shall we begin? Friendly bunch. Is there a problem with the sound? Anyone get muted by accident? No? Okay. Thanks for having me. I don't want to take too much of your time. I'm actually a bit flustered having you all show up here. I didn't expect to talk to anyone higher up than a service associate. You're investigating the death of Dr. David Asher. Why wouldn't we take that seriously? Because you want me to go away? At least half of you do. The others aren't sure. You must be confused. The board is, as always, united in its decisions and its visions for the direction of this company. Uh-huh. A board of directors is just 13 roulette-rolling psychopaths who get together and vote on whether or not to execute their CEO every 6 months. None of them would be where they are if they were anything else. But I happen to know how that kind of person thinks. The way I see it, there are two possible outcomes. Option 1, you oppose me. Shut me out completely, stonewall me, stall me, and wait for me to walk into trial so unprepared and ill-informed that I inevitably lose. Obviously, I don't like this option. But you can't be big fans of it either. If I lose, the world will learn that David Asher was killed by an android he programmed. Then every customer you've ever had, and every lawyer they've ever seen on TV, and every firebrand strapping young 60-year-old junior senator looking to make a name for themselves will use your company balance sheet as their personal chew toy. The company is more than capable, after which the state still might just gobble you whole and throw down enough sanctions to de-person whomever among you cries no fair. The company and its allies at the capital can more than fend for themselves. Yes, probably, but not definitely. Which makes it a gamble. Still my turn to talk? Then on to option 2. You cooperate with me. I use what you give me, or forge for me, to win at trial, proving that David wasn't killed by an android. When the markets open tomorrow morning, you will get another round of stock buybacks on the initial tip, then pat yourselves on the back for staying calm as you continue to profit off David's legacy for the next 100 years. And you won't even have to worry about him speaking out of turn. That's only if you win. If the company cooperates with you, denies that David was killed by, and the state beats you anyway, it would be catastrophic. Yeah, it's a gamble. But if at least some of your board wasn't considering taking it, I wouldn't be here. We're all busy people, and I'd hate to drive a wedge between such a close-knit group of friends, so how about this? Option 3. Hedge your bets. What? Put a little on black, put a little on red, spread the love, and lower your risk profile. Don't make any statements about the trial. Tell the media that the state's got your windpipe in a vice. Wait until just before the markets open Monday morning to send out your PR packages for rubber stamping. After you already know who's won. One way or another, this trial will be over before the end of the day and you'll never hear from me again. So just don't shut me out completely for another few hours. And does anyone second that motion? Very well. We can answer some of your questions, Counselor. Better make them count then. No reason to be shy now. The poison that killed David Asher has been identified as cyanotonin. You're familiar? It's one of our many patented materials, as I recall. You recalled it pretty easily yesterday. Gee, what's changed? But intellectual property law can be very complex, Counselor. I'm not sure how much I or anyone at the company could tell you about cyanotonin at this time. Well, if you can't tell me about it, who could? You did lead its development, didn't you? Yes, I oversaw the project, which just makes it that much harder to speak freely without compromising the confidentiality of the teams that reported to me. I understand. That sounds like bullshit, and I don't believe it. But I'm not asking for trade secrets here. It's a perfect match for the only foreign substance found in his blood. Cyanotonin is what killed him. The state will say the same. That's not possible. Care to elaborate? I'm sorry, but I can't say any more at this time. So much for cooperating. And if I were to ask you as an officer of the court, then I would ask you to be patient and wait until this afternoon. ADA Rockford has already called me to testify. Already? Damn, I got cocky because of the cops' late arrival. Emma must have gone straight for the throat first thing this morning and left the investigating for later. Well, knowing her, she probably managed to ID the cyanotonin before she went to bed last night. So, are we still having this conversation then? As I said, I'm sorry. But I have to take more than just my personal feelings into consideration here. There's a great deal at stake. Corporate speak, or you're too stupid to understand why I'm being dense. She's just trying to shield the company, plain and simple. LARPing as Helen Young Dark on a crusade against government overreach. But if she's that busy defending Noble, she might be leaving herself unguarded. Why is she here anyway? Why am I speaking to her and not her lawyer? That's right. This is a vulnerable position for her. She wouldn't put herself in check like this. Not unless she was forced to. So that's it. Acting as their mouthpiece isn't some honor for her. This is a punishment. She's being used as a meat shield. They're upset with her. Perhaps even suspicious of her. Time to find out why. Whatever else the court ends up labeling her, Sarah is a remarkably lifelike android. Had things worked out differently, you might have wanted her as the A16 poster girl. Or 17, or 18. Could have driven a lot of sales. Her cute little pout projected across the sides of skyscrapers. A hypothetical of a hypothetical. As has been made tragically obvious to all of us, that android is nothing like the A16. That it may yet be associated with our products going forward is nothing more than a massive liability. Yet you wouldn't have the A16 without her. And if they could take her apart and learn from her, they could have the world. So was the motive to try and pry Sarah away from him? Do they even know about Sarah? Let's stay for now. Has David's will been located? It had never gone anywhere. It's still in a safety deposit box. We'll retrieve it and have it read once all of the unknowns surrounding his death have been made into knowns. But David's will hasn't even become part of the equation yet. It might not be for weeks at this rate. Is that calculated, though? Possibly. Aren't you dragging your feet? Afraid that there's something in that will you'd rather not have see the light of day? We are not jealous in-laws who've been bribing the county sheriff, Counselor. Oof. Anything we try to claim would inevitably be overturned as soon as the will is read. Surely you understand that, Counselor. Of course. Oh, that was not good. I have to admit, I'm surprised you aren't more shaken up today, Miss Young. I'm processing. After all, you and David did have a history. You started at the same time, didn't you? Yes, we were colleagues and cordial with one another. I don't know why I keep yawning. Don't be modest. You helped him create the one-point doctrine that saved the company. That is gross exaggeration. Noble is far too large an organization to be affected by the contributions of any single individual. Suppose you're right. No one person could change Noble's fortunes overnight. Except for David Asher, of course. But he was a once-in-a-generation talent. The guy Noble chose for the advertisements and the one they commissioned editorials about. Sorry, you're right. I shouldn't have equated the two of you. I just hope his one-point doctrine doesn't fall out of favor now that he's gone. Yes, well, we certainly wouldn't want that. Well, she didn't exactly explode with rage, but she definitely reacted. There's real jealousy there. Whether it ever boiled over, though. Didn't mean to pry about your relationship with David or lack thereof. I suppose I'm just curious about his standing inside Noble as a whole. David Asher was and always will be an outstanding contributor to the company's forward progress. Nothing will ever change that. Not even if he was killed by one of his own creations. That would, of course, be a tragic element that would call for reconsideration of his legacy. She was almost off guard there. Like she was surprised for me to be asking about Sarah ruining his reputation. Besides Sarah, David's reputation was crystal clean. He never went against the company once, did he? That's... Unless I'm mistaken, and he and Noble were on bad terms. In that case, I might get the impression that some parts of leadership were actually glad to see him taken off the chessboard. That's not... Something buzzing in your ear? Fine, I suppose it makes no difference if you hear it now, or at the trial, or on your feet tomorrow. Dr. David Asher was being sued by the company for breach of contract. Satisfied? Now we're talking. Well then, I suppose that's... blackjack. So you couldn't have mentioned this breach of contract earlier? Not without complicating the company's position unnecessarily, no. But there's no hiding it at this point. It'll all come out soon enough. There's a paper trail? Much more than that. We'd been making moves to let him go for some time. Noble Electronics parting ways with David Asher. Must have been one hell of a breach of contract. What did he do? He betrayed the confidence of the board. Was he contesting the suit? Putting up a fight? Engaging in a legal battle against a mega corporation without even telling me? Until recently, yeah. You mean until he died? How recently? We spoke on Friday. That was what you two talked about in his parlor? No, this was earlier in the day. We were in this room, actually. Him, me, and several members of our legal department. It was an arbitration. And did you come to an agreement? A compromise. He would resign from his position in 2 quarters. foregoing royalties on any products we would develop after the next 24 months. In exchange, he wouldn't be publicly fired and he would still be credited on all past, present, and future filings. Oh, very reasonable. On paper, maybe. No matter what the deal was, letting go of David Asher is insanity. Reasonable. Yes, we ended on a good note, I'd like to think. We shook hands, even took a photo. Yeah, that looks... lovely. Something funny? Didn't know the board took jokes. They don't. That was illegal. Expressing their displeasure with how much paperwork my good note ending left them stuck with. Children. It was just one night of overtime. So while they were spending their Friday night blowing the ink dry, you paid a visit to David's penthouse. Something left unfinished? Professionally, it was a good meeting. There was no yelling, no finger pointing. Much cleaner than expected. But Dr. Asher did not want to retire. Young is not using a paper cup. He didn't want to be forced out of the company when he was the one when he had contributed so much. I didn't enjoy doing that to him, so I came over that night to apologize. We talked for a minute. When he brought out the drinks, I thought we'd be toasting to a new day. A few minutes later, he was dead. Because of that AI. That AI. Any idea how it came to be? As I said, I had no idea he was working on it. My question was more broad than that. If you really believe David built an AI, how do you think he did it? How does Noble Electronics think he managed to work around the tenants? It's quite beyond my area of expertise. And no one at the company could call themselves an expert in illegal technology. But some in the R&D department have theorized that he created what they call a waxwing decaying priority loop, which, as I understand, is an unstable, resource-intensive theoretical method for pseudo-randomizing the weight amongst preset tenants. Well, about as far off target as it gets with that guy. But that kind of inelegant brute force nonsense seems a far cry from the kind of thing David would create, and I seem to have taken us over our allotted time slot. But I didn't even get to wave goodbye. You're so serious about this trial. Don't I look it? You're not just making a play. You're actually going to defend that thing. I'm just defending myself, Miss Young. Oh yes, of course you are. My mistake. I hoped you might be rooting for me to tell you the truth. I may yet save everyone's stock options. The stock options will be alright either way. They always are. That gamble I offered your board. Which outcome would you bet on? Finally, an easy question. What I would bet is that whatever the outcome, the company will eat it up and shit it out with very little difficulty. You painted an ugly picture back there, but I've already seen the future. And it's just another marketing gimmick. The great Dr. Asher, too smart, too bold, too far ahead of his time. What spark of his genius remains buried in the inspired Animate 19? I guess that depends on. You were exactly right. He is more valuable to Noble as a dead man. Dead men can't step out of line, or put their foot in their mouth, or hold politically inconvenient opinions. To a good salesperson, a dead man is just another selling point. Pardon my outburst. I'm just tired. It's been a very long week for me. I'll let you prepare for your afternoon then, Dr. Young. No one calls me doctor. I asked them not to. You didn't want the title? At times I have thought very little of it. The PhD I earned from a Noble-owned school. Biochem. It couldn't have been a large department at Noble before they started work on warm androids in earnest. They probably didn't have many expectations for the program back when she was a part of it. But I was proud of it. when I first got it. Something changed? It never seemed to catch on. People didn't use it, so eventually I told people not to use it. A very high IQ social power play, you understand. David never insisted that people use it either. That's very different, and I think you know it. David Asher didn't have to. I'm going into this trial, my trial, with a lot less ammunition than I'd like. I'm beginning to form a picture of what actually happened. Maybe even circling the train on a suspect. Oop. But Emma won't be generous enough to give me breathing room. She'll want to end this fast. Maybe if I do badly enough, it'll flip her sadistic switch and she'll want to keep playing. Hmm? So you got charged with owning an AI. First time you do something exciting in your whole life. And I gotta find out through the fucking grapevine? My life is plenty exciting. Freckle. You could bore the polish off a resume-checking robot. Okay. Okay. So who'd you rope in? Anyone I know? Oh shit. Are you representing yourself? It's within my budget. Screw your budget, you're going to jail. Thanks for the vote of confidence. It ain't a matter of how good a liar you are. Anyone who represents themselves in court has a fool for counsel. You represented yourself countless times. Not for anything I had a chance of losing. Your pal hasn't even been dead 48 hours. You're too close to this. He'll make mistakes. The powers that be really didn't want to give me a brain check. They're taking this very seriously. It's more dangerous than that. They're scared. Huh. Is there precedent? An ad committing murder? How'd you pass law school without learning how to look this stuff up? I know what the net says. I'm asking you. The answer to that is not helpful to you at the moment. Uh-huh. So what words of advice do you have? Get yourself a new life. I'm gonna close this chat now. That was unhelpful. Don't lose, Freckle. You don't need to tell me that. Huh. I miss you, daughter.
What are you reading, Adonai?
I was reading David's employment contract with Noble Electronics before I got waylaid by spam texts.
The one we found inside the panic room? It looks quite extensive. Should I skip it for you?
Depends. Did you pass the bar exam since we last spoke?
Uh,
You comfortable?
I am not.
Ever seen that old movie with the gorilla and the skyscraper? They bring it to the city and...
I understand the analogy, Adonai.
I wish I could call it overkill. But considering the specs Sarah put up yesterday, maybe those bindings aren't heavy enough. Come to think of it, those numbers must have been faked along with the rest of what the machine read. If that was all a smoke screen David added to help her lay low, then her actual strength is more like...
Hmm?
If your joints weren't currently locked up tighter than a vice, do you think you could escape this place?
I hope that question is not indicative of your strategy. But
This is me trying to distract you, Sarah. Enjoy the hypothetical.
I would estimate that the building's automated security would put 9 holes in me before I reach that door.
9's not so bad.
I would not be able to function after the 7th.
Ah. Well, if you haven't been planning some great escape.
I would not do that. That would be illegal. And you would still be on trial.
I remember. So what have you been doing all day then?
I am attempting to recover memories from Friday.
You can do that?
It is not dissimilar from the process of recovering data erased from any other computer, despite the difference in scale. I won't be able to remember everything, but if successful, I could recall individual pieces of information that could prove useful.
That's a lot of goods. And even if you're successful, you may not like what you find. Whatever happened that day, either you or David wanted you to forget it.
Yes, but even so, I have to remember. Because it's the last day that Father and I.
And you look so far then.
I can recall a slightly musty scent.
Wow. Case closed. Oh, she's so cute.
What about you, Adonai? Have you formulated a plan for the trial's proceeding?
Something like that. Young insists that serotonin isn't what killed David. I don't buy it. There's no other explanation for how he died.
So she's lying?
And if she repeats that lie on the stand, I'll need to expose it.
Somehow.
Somehow.
Would she really commit perjury to protect Noble? To protect one of Noble's patents?
She doesn't strike me as quite the corporate zealot she makes herself out to be.
But you believe that she had something to do with Father's death?
What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know why anyone would kill Father.
Considering the possible consequences of what he confessed to in his journal, I can think of.
But then again, I don't understand why anyone would kill anyone. Do you?
Oh, that's a loaded question. Bells tolling for thee. Means that the doors to the courtroom are unlocked. Let's... Wait, can you walk like that? What will have to do? Wait a second. Across the hall. Keep waddling, Sarah. I'll catch up.
As you say, Adonai.
This'll be a coin toss. You that surprised to see me? I'm not surprised you want to see the outcome of this trial. I am surprised you'd want to talk to me. You're defending the android, right? Be honest. Yeah, I'm defending Sarah's innocence. I don't think she killed David. Do you? I don't think it matters. Noble is what killed David. Whether it was with a pen stroke or a sleeper agent killer android, or plain old goddamn arsenic. But anyone that smart be that dumb. Why the hell did he ever sign his soul over to them? David may have been in over his head, but he wasn't a bad negotiator. I read his contract. His position was strong. You're the liar. But a guy like me working in music? Can't tell you how many people I've seen screwed over by a big smile and a fat signing bonus. No such thing as corporate generosity. If you think you're getting a good deal, it's only because you don't know how much you just sold. How much you just sold. David's real wealth lay in his intellectual property, the potential energy of it, hanging over the whole industry. If he sued even 1% of the companies taking inspiration from his Turing solution, there's a clause in his contract. If Noble ever did fire David, he would have retained control over all his patents afterwards. Yeah, see, that sounds nice. Only they never did fire him, did they? He just happened to die. An unforeseeable act of God. In contract law, they call that force majeure. Quick, hydrate. Here we go. It's time for the court.
I said Did you find anything interesting in the contract other than that?
Hmm? A few things, yeah. Basically, David was well taken care of so long as they kept him around. And he'd retain control of his patents even after being let go. But what Porter said. Logically, if David were to pass while still employed, Noble would continue to control the bulk of his IP. So if they knew David was going to leave in a year,
It would be very foolish of them to let Father go.
well, they wouldn't do it for no reason. With this contract, he could only be fired for serious offenses. Corporate malfeasance, revealing trade secrets, fraud.
Father was not a fraud. He was, as they say, the greatest of all time.
Fraud just means lying to the company about something, Sarah. Manipulating company data. Oh, rise up. Showtime. Counselor Morgan, the state charges you with possession of contraband. Contraband? That be you? In violation of the Safeguarding Our National Digital Security Act. How do you plead? Not guilty. Very well, since it seems that we are in fact doing this. I'll now turn over the administration of this trial to the adjutant. But be warned, any attempts at stalling or muddling the issue, and I'll step right in and override the trial myself. Summary judgment, siding with the people. Are we understood? Yes, Your Honor.
Are we going to have the same adjutant as we had before?
No way. Each courthouse only has so many bodies, but the personalities swap around all the time. So the chances of us dealing with the same glitchy mess as yesterday are...
Glad to be back. Did y'all miss me?
Oh. Forget I said anything. I'll just go crawl under a rock and die while you make your opening statements. The defendant is the owner of the android registered under the model name Sarah, with license number 1202980. She hasn't contested this, and I doubt she will. So the question of ownership is already answered. All that remains is to determine whether Sarah qualifies as contraband. It's a charming android, incredibly well made. A masterpiece and the last known work of a great man. But when we look at the evidence and the facts surrounding the death of Dr. Asher, we're forced to conclude that said android is responsible for his death. And that conclusion carries very serious implications. I will prove here in court today that the machine standing there killed David Asher, not through an accident or a mismanaged dosage, but through an intentional poisoning. I won't ask the court to judge this machine on its apparent sentience, its range of emotions, or the free will it may or may not possess. I only ask that the court judge this creation on what we will prove it to be more than capable of. Patricide. Mutter, murmur, mutter, murmur. Woof. Wouldn't want to have to follow that act. But go for it anyway, defense. Your Honor, what the DA said is true. What did she just say? Did she just admit it? Sorry, just the first part. This android is charming, and it is the work of a great man. The rest of it was pure speculation based on little more than a few bad camera angles and a phobia of anything new. Murmur, mutter, murmur, mutter. I do own the android you see here. It was bequeathed to me by a man known to most of the people in this courtroom as the father of modern machine intelligence. To me, he was just my friend. And if I thought at any point that this puppet had anything to do with his death, I would have dragged it to the chopping block myself But I don't believe that. I never have. Sarah is an android, nothing more. It isn't capable of homicide, and it didn't even commit manslaughter. It's just a well-made machine. Any fears one has about its capabilities are projections, nothing more. And it troubles me greatly that the state is spending valuable time and resources on rushing to pulverize Dr. Asher's last known work, when it could be going after the very real, very human forces that were responsible for his death. Is she serious? Is she talking about Noble? The people can't prove that Sarah is an AI. And truth be told, I can't prove that it isn't. But I can prove that it's not guilty. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Chills.
You sounded very confident, Adonai.
Yeah, well, no one ever got good at lying by being modest.
You could have simply said thank you.
Here we go, into the courthouse. Quick hydration break. This is getting good. I have no idea who did it. I have a sneaking suspicion that it was Young, but I have absolutely no idea how she would have done it. Thank you for your presence here today, Detective London. In light of the new evidence, I'd like to go over the death of Dr. Asher one more time. What happened Friday night? At 6:30 p.m., David Asher spoke on the phone with his lover, and the two of them broke things off. Lover?
It's an accurate description of their relationship, isn't it?
I wouldn't know. That stuff's private.
Adonai.
Then the deceased met with Noble VP Helen Young in his parlor starting around 7:30 p.m. He then left the parlor in the sightlines of his home security system, before reappearing on his private secondary security system in his basement moments later. At which point, the android Sarah can be seen handing him the poison he'd go on to drink. Do you see that android in the courtroom? Yeah, she's the green-haired one that's frowning at me. Let the record show that the android Sarah has been identified at the scene of the crime. No objections. Huh? None? Then why'd I even show up? Detective London, what happened next? Asher went upstairs and shared a drink with Miss Young. Within a few minutes, he was being airlifted to the hospital, where he was soon declared dead. We know that the poison could be produced by his nanofactorer, which Sarah had access to just up the stairs in his workshop. So Sarah had ample opportunity to procure the poison, and Sarah handled Dr. Asher's cup immediately before he did. Is there a question in that statement, Your Honor? I'll rephrase. Was anyone else seen handling Dr. Asher's cup before he died? No. I have no further questions. So that's your witness, counselor. He wasn't lying per se, but there was some ambiguity in the statement he gave. Truth's gotta come out one way or another. If Emma won't push, I'll have to pull. What does this do again? Oh shit. Wait, can I go back? Sorry. That was bad. Yeah. Oof. Yikes. Of the talk screen, the basement footage, and the whiskey. I heard a slight slip up in there. I don't know where, but at this stage I need to pick out every little start I can. The talk screen. Sarah only handed him the whiskey. Sorry, Sarah only gave him the cups. Not the whiskey, too. Check that footage again, Detective London. We only see Sarah handing the victim a cup. He had already retrieved the whiskey himself. Oh, yeah, forgot about that. Detective London just wasn't being specific enough, Your Honor. But it matters little since it was David's cup, not the whiskey bottle that was poisoned. Weird flex, but okay? And that undeniable fact is shown clearly in the security footage. Sarah hands him a cup after he was ready to leave. True, she did call David back and handed him a cup of poison. That wouldn't make sense. Because neither cup... If the cup was already poisoned, don't you think David would have noticed it wasn't empty? Well, not necessarily. The lethal dose could have been quite small. If it were just a droplet, he could have easily overlooked it. For Sarah, this crime was very simple. There was too little to the plan for anything to go wrong. Once she handed it off, she just had to wait for him to drink from his cup. Is that all she'd have needed to do? No? How do you know that David would take that cup and not the other one? She gave him 2 cups. How could she have known which cup David would drink from? There are a few ways to go about it, but it's only a 50-50 shot, counselor. Stranger things have happened. There was no way to know the right cup. They look exactly the same. It's not a bluff. Sarah handed the cups to him in one stack, with the poison hidden in the bottom cup. She knew David was courteous and would pour for his guest first, so he wouldn't even look into the poison cup until he was already pouring. Cold-blooded patricide, executed by taking calculated advantage of Dr. Ash's kindness. Jesus. Now, are there some questions you'd like to ask the detective while he's available? Or are you done already? I was just about to get started. Even if I didn't have questions, I'd make some up just to spite you at this point. But I can do better. And what can I get London to say that would help my case? Detective London, in their capacity as assistants to the police force, are androids ever asked to commit acts of violence? Yeah, I guess so. They can push people, restrain them, harm them. And does that constitute a violation of their tenets? Harming the people they're supposed to protect? Well, as I understand it, there might be some complex weighting math that goes into it, but no. It's not breaking any tenets. For that to be the case, they'd have to have tenet 1, right? May not injure or through inaction lead to blah blah blah. Yes, I suppose that would have to be the case, wouldn't it? Are you asking me? This is far outside his expertise. Oh no. Detective, do you know how many violent incidents the city's police have investigated in the last year? When's the last time I saved? Oh, at the beginning. Okay, we're fine. Not the exact number. Thousands, though? Yeah, around there. And of those thousands of incidents of violence, do you know how many of them were found to be in the fault of automated dependence? I believe there's been 6 in the last 5 years. Were all 6 of them incidents of police licensed ad involved brutality? Relevance, Your Honor. Withdrawn. As an aside, Detective, do you know how many tenets are recognized in this country? 110? 112 as of this year. Couldn't you have given me that one? Do you know how many of those tenets pertain to protecting humans from harm? That one I do know. 41. And lastly, detective, how many times in the last, say, century have we seen automated dependents break their tenet? 5 times is the agreed upon number. So if you were to tally that all up and try and make an evaluation as a police officer charged with protecting civilians, overall you would say that automated dependents in general are how dangerous to the public? The witness is not an expert on automated dependents, Your Honor. He's more than qualified to say whether they have a history of violence, Your Honor. Aw, what the heck? Let him answer. I would have to say that they are not dangerous. Normally that would have bought me some doubt with a jury, but this isn't a traditional trial. At least I can say that I shored up my own confidence. Detective, in the footage we just saw, could you see what Sarah was doing? Not exactly, no. Her back was to the camera and her hands were obscured. Could you see her hands? From any other clip of camera footage retrieved from the basement? No. Did you or anyone else participating in the investigation ever see Sarah put anything in David Asher's cup? No. The footage submitted to the record is the best available view of what happened. What about the view from the android itself? Well, yeah, if we could see through the android's eyes, that'd be pretty conclusive. If we could trust any data touched by her. Right. Suppose we'll just have to settle for the one camera angle we've got. Alright. Seems like that's as close as I'm gonna get to blackjack. There's an ad starting soon. So, I am unfortunately gonna save when I've lost a ton of chips. And we're gonna go into a 3-minute break. Welcome back. Here we go. I believe I've made my point. I have no more questions for this witness, Your Honor. Then we can move on to the next item on the docket. Looks like Emma wants to introduce some new evidence. I call Sarah to the stand. The android? Did she even do that? Approach, Your Honor? Oh, you're approaching me? I believe that it's me they wanted to speak with. I didn't even get to finish my line. Now then, what the hell are you doing, Rockford? Took the words right out of my mouth. I have questions for the android. This seemed like the best way to get answers. You can't call an android as a witness. It's not a person. There's plenty of precedents for it. Ads provide testimony all the time. Not when they're on trial. Sarah isn't on trial. You are. Sarah is accused of being an AI. That means you don't trust a word out of its mouth. If the witness isn't to be trusted, the court can decide that for itself after hearing their testimony. Why the ambush? Why'd you list this as entering evidence, D.A. Rockford? Only people you can be witnesses, Your Honor. And ads don't have legal personhood. Evidence seemed like the best worst descriptor. You know I can't make an android swear an oath. Rockford is just trying to spoil your opinion, Your Honor. The more this court treats Sarah like a person, the more you'll see her as human, and the weaker my case becomes in your eyes. Nice try, Counselor. But we don't have time to worry about my impartiality. You're free to call for a mistrial if you want, but the state will have turned Sarah to slag before you even finish signing your motion. Rockford's calling a witness that is blatantly hostile to her case. If the witness is hostile, so be it. It did kill a man, after all. Allegedly. What about the right to avoid self-incrimination? Who's the one treating Sarah like a person now? Androids don't have rights. Damn it, the android will take the stand. Your Honor, I've made my decision. And if Sarah refuses to take the stand, are you going to charge it with contempt of court? If the machine won't talk, you'll make every effort as its owner to ensure that it does. And if it disobeys you, then we'll have our answer about its sentience right then and there. Yes, Your Honor. Shit. What's going on? The DA is going to question you on the stand. What? But I shouldn't. Listen to me. You don't have a choice right now. This is happening. Tell the truth, but be concise. The more robotic, the better. Yes or no's only if you can. Using affirmative and negative, be laying it on tooth it.
But not tonight. If I make a mistake, all these people they want to destroy.
If you must make a mistake, your lawyer will just have to cover for you. Understand?
Yes.
You are the android identified as Sarah, correct?
Affirmative.
Do you deny that this camera footage shows you handling the poisoned cup? Objection. It remains to be seen whether the cup itself was definitively poisoned. Yes, yes. Sarah, do you deny handing that cup to David Asher?
I have no memory of the incident, so I can neither confirm nor deny it.
Do you have any reasoning? Any excuse for your actions? Or failing to notify police of crucial information?
I do not have any records from that day, so I never had anything to tell anyone.
Very well. Counselor? The journal, if you will. This could be a slaughter. Of course. Do you recognize this item?
It's a journal that belongs to Dr. David Asher. I have seen him write in it on many occasions.
And have you any knowledge of its content?
Nuggets.
You don't have to answer that, actually. Tell the court what you see here in this footage.
I see myself reading the journal in the basement.
This footage was captured on Friday, the day you claim to have no memory. So regardless of what you do or don't remember, we know that you read this journal hours before David Asher died.
That is logical.
I'd like you to read some passages from it for the court. Can you do that?
Of course.
Page 238, the 10th line.
Sarah is growing faster than I ever expected, beyond my wildest dreams or fears. Today, she
Continue, please.
Today she broke every password I have in the house. Said she was curious. I can't expect to keep things from her forever.
Page 251, line 12.
I've gravely underestimated the scope of things. Sarah could change everything, and I don't think I could stop her. You wasn't.
Page 263. If this keeps up, Sarah's going to fall to pieces up there. This is going to be very, very, very bad. What am I going to object to, though? I can't do anything. What am I going to say? I don't have a leg to stand on here, and Sarah doesn't have a shred of legal protection to speak of. I have to just let this play out. Page 263, I said.
I think Sarah was angry today. When I came back from work, she had ripped a thin alloy plate in half. She said she was testing her strength, but the camera that was
Page 267.
Sarah scared me today.
If she starts bawling on the stand, it's all over. Your Honor, I fail to see the value in continuing this line of questioning. Dr. Asher was wary of a highly experimental android he was building, as any good scientist would be. That's been established. Do the people have a counter-argument? I have just one last question, if it pleases the court. Let's hear it. This footage was captured in the basement on Friday at around 5:30 p.m. Tell the court what you see.
I see myself standing where I was when I read the journal. I'm speaking to someone who's off camera, and I appear agitated, and I stomp my foot.
And what happens to the floor after you stomp your foot?
A large crack is made in the vulcanized polymer, and I walk off camera towards whomever I had been speaking to.
Speaking or shouting? Asked and answered. Not really, but I'll withdraw the comment nonetheless. Your witness, counselor, or evidence, if you prefer. Damn, I knew she could cherry pick all the worst passages from the journal, but still, if Barrows wasn't wavering before. Should I try to have Sarah read the mushy parts? No, the waterworks would start after only a few lines. Emma went to all that trouble to show how emotionally developed Sarah is. Proving that she loved David like a father would be playing right into her hand. What do you say, counselor? Got some burning cues for the android to answer? Yes, Your Honor, just one moment. Emma went for emotion and the impact was devastating, so all I can do is focus on the fact. So let's flip this around. Say Sarah absolutely didn't poison David. If that's the case, why did she call him back on his way out of the basement? Wait, I'd actually like to ask you to read from the journal again, Sarah.
You what? From where?
From the section that explains what you were actually trying to do that night. The section of his journal detailing his early career. Look around the early section. There should be an entry talking about an early victory at Noble. Relevance? The people will see in just one moment that this story is the key to this entire case. But approval from overseas. Have to make pitch again this week, young Seth. Brought me a stack of plastic cups. Here's to a bright future together. And then on this next page, another victory for the young and sleepless. Helen convinced the president of Futures over lunch that my code should be the basis for the Anime 13's conversational tracking. She insisted on toasting the same crappy booze and the same cheap cup. Wants to make a tradition. Plastic cups and liquor. A ritual between Helen Young and David Asher, who were about to have a drink together Friday night. Something you want to say, counselor? Let's put all our cards on the table, shall we? You want to compare theories? If you'd rather I end this now, I'll be happy to oblige. Here's what we know. Sarah read that journal and discovered what she was. It infuriated her, and she wanted revenge for being kept under her maker's thumb. That very night, she got her chance when Dr. Asher came down looking for a drink. So like the clever little helper she is, she offered him a cup to drink out of. We're completely in agreement on that. So you also agree that the cup was poisoned, and that Sarah's responsible for his death? Not quite. It's not a bad explanation, Miss Rockford, but it is terribly complex. There's a much simpler reasoning for why Sarah did what she did. The story from the journal. Oh, I forgot to max out. Sarah wasn't planning anything. She was just being considerate. That's so sweet. But I don't follow it, like, at all. It's actually quite simple. Sarah's not an AI. She only threw a tantrum that day because she found out she was being spied on. A realistic reaction for an android designed to be realistic. David Asher set her memory to be cleared himself because he wanted to preserve the experiment he was running. Sarah didn't hatch a plan to poison him using an obscure chemical acquired from the lab. And she didn't subtly manipulate David into drinking from only one of 2 cups. Because the android read the whole journal that day. Meaning, she also read how David and Young used to celebrate. And so when she saw David was leaving the basement without the nostalgic cups, she called him back to hand them to him. Simple, right? Simple enough for me, but not nearly good enough for me. What's more likely, Miss Rockford? That a well-made, clever android proposed a sentimental addition to 2 friends this evening? Or that a homegrown AI with groundbreaking physical and digital abilities concocted a complicated poisoning scheme just to kill an unimposing man? All on camera, mind you, before voluntarily submitting to a memory wipe. People make all kinds of stupid mistakes when they commit crimes, counselor. We shouldn't expect an AI to act much differently. Is it stupid or dangerous? Can't have it both ways, Your Honor. We can if it's ignorant of its power and still immature. A deadly trait to have in an AI that's capable of anything. Shall we see what Sarah's capable of then, Your Honor? What? You can't... Your Honor, that's... The people opened the door. True, and I can't resist open doors. Let's do it! What are you even... Sarah. David Asher was your creator and your designated owner, correct? Should I still be using affirmative? And now that title falls to me. Yes? Great, thank you. Now turn off. What? Shut down. That's a command. Power on. What are you? Off. On. That's a lie, I don't... Off.
Sweet.
That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is what this fearsome machine menace is capable of. I can put it to sleep with one word. So how could David Asher ever be threatened by it? Scary. Scary good logic. You made your point, counselor. Let's move it along. I have no further queries for the machine, Your Honor.
Spee. Oh, thank you.
For flipping you off and on? Can't imagine that was comfortable.
It wasn't. but I wasn't referring to that. Since yesterday, I've been searching for an answer to why I appeared on that camera. I know I would never hurt Father, but you helped me prove that to myself just now. But don't I?
Pardon me, I need to focus. Everything depends on this next witness. The people call Helen Young to the stand. Oh, am I nearing the end of episode 1? Okay. Helen Young, Vice President of Android Futures at Noble Electronics Eastern Division. Miss Young, you were there the night Dr. Asher died. And you were on camera the entire time. That's correct? So what did you see that night? I arrived at 7:30 p.m., as you know. David and I talked in the parlor, then he left to retrieve some refreshments for us. After drinking together for a short while, he fell ill. I contacted emergency services, and I'm sure you're all tired of hearing the same details over and over by now. The same details over and over aren't going to hold up anymore, Madame Veep. It's still unclear to me whether Young's more concerned with protecting herself or the almighty company. But it'll clear up real fast if I can turn up the pressure on her here and now. Came to David's at 7:30. Chatted for a short while about some low priority work. Before long, he offered to fetch us some refreshments. She's trying to paint a different picture of what happened that day. I can't let her set the tone as she pleases. Low priority work? You said you were gonna apologize. This one? Maybe? Nothing heavy. You're both more professional than I realized. Since only hours earlier you had run a meeting in which his employment was terminated. His employment wasn't terminated at the arbitration you're referring to. His resignation was merely agreed upon. Yes, and we can all imagine how grateful he felt about the whole process. David didn't hold grudges. Our conversation wasn't about that. The fact that you had fired him that afternoon didn't come up? Asked and answered. Who initiated the meeting at his penthouse? I arrived unannounced. So you weren't invited? Very cordial indeed. If he didn't want to see me, he could have stopped me at the elevators. Could he have? Noble owned that entire building down to the wiring. Counsel is battering the witness, Your Honor. Right. Should we execute her for that then? No need. If I can just continue my questioning, we can finally start addressing the elephant in the room. Where? Oh, I see. That was merely a joke. Hilarious. Miss Young, Noble Electronics owns a patent for and produces the synthetic biochemical known as cyanotonin, correct? That's correct. It's used in our war models to facilitate integration and communication between organic and synthetic components. It's an artificial neurotransmitter? Essentially, yes. Synthetic analog serotonin was the original name. Did you bring the sample I requested to the courtroom today? I did. Cyanotonin is produced on-site at our assembly lines as a caramel-tinted solution, including water and a few non-reactive organic byproducts. Your analysis, Your Honor? Working on it. It's odorless and tasteless. A solution of water and organic byproducts, you said. If that solution were ingested, most of it would look right at home in a human body, I suppose. But the cyanotonin would stand out, wouldn't you say? It's not a naturally occurring compound, so yes. And it's a perfect match for the substance previously labeled Delta. And the sample we collected from the nanofactory preset in Dr. Asher's lab? That's a bingo! The witness's brown stuff matches your brown stuff down to a T. In light of this evidence and the witness's testimony, I motion that the court formally recognizes that Dr. Asher's cause of death was cyanotonin poisoning. I don't object, Your Honor, but I'm afraid that I must. Oh, excuse me? Cyanotonin may very well have been in his body when he died, but cyanotonin didn't kill Dr. Asher. What the hell is she up to? It couldn't have. It couldn't kill anybody. What? Because it's non-toxic, of course. We designed it to affect androids, not people. Hold on. You're now claiming that Dr. Asher died of what? Natural causes? I can't say what he died of. I'm not a medical expert. But I can easily prove that cyanotonin is harmless. How could you? Like so. Oh my god. Huh. Didn't see that one coming. What? What? That ain't good. Bailiff, contact the hospital immediately. I told you it's fine, but I can stand here all day if necessary. What in the... And what you just drank was several hundred times the amount found in Dr. Asher's body. Why didn't you say anything until now? Noble Electronics is a multinational corporation with patents filed all over the world. We take the protection of our trade secrets very seriously. The production and nature of cyanotonin is closely guarded. That guard remains up even during a murder investigation, unfortunately. I would have been able to tell you earlier, had you asked directly. What the hell kind of... This can't be right. Nothing else makes sense. Boy, howdy, I'm lost as hell. But do you have any further questions, Rocky Ford? Not at the moment, Your Honor. And the defense? The prosecution's own witness just threw the entire case into question. Normally, this would be cause for celebration, but shadow of a doubt isn't enough this time. Barrows would much rather bring down the gavel early than let a potential AI walk free. What Young did was shocking, but what I need to do hasn't changed. Think this through logically. Is it really possible that cyanotonin had nothing to do with David's death? It acts as a depressant, doesn't it? Where is the doctor's testimony? Sato? Sato. I don't have anything right now. There's a salt shaker in the crime scene. By itself, it's probably fine, but they probably some like chemical reaction because it's OChem. No, that's bullshit. It can't be a coincidence. There's nothing else that would have killed him. Young just drank cyanotonin in front of us and she's fine. So was it fake? No. It was confirmed by the court computer to be the genuine article. So she drank poison but isn't showing any symptoms. Is it slow acting? If so, her grand gesture would be pointless. It'll be kept for observation regardless of what happens next. Did she take some kind of antidote beforehand? No, antidotes are developed for poisons, not industrial chemicals. David's dead, she's alive. What made the difference? Wake up! No sleeping on the job. Thank you for 62 months being... Of course, Your Honor. Allow me one moment to explain things to the court. We've confirmed just now that cyanotonin was the foreign compound in his body. And we all know logically that it must have been what killed David Asher. So what's the key difference between what David drank that night and what she drank in front of us just now? The whiskey. The difference has been staring us in the face this whole time. That's... Do you recognize this, Miss Young? That's the whiskey bottle that Dr. Usher and I drank from. Rose River. That's a good whiskey. And I think you had the right idea. Pardon? Bottoms up. Smooth. What? How did I? Dear God, counselor! Scandalous. Relax, it's just whiskey. Tested a dozen times over, perfectly safe. So would you like to try some, Miss Young? Don't be absurd. I'm not going to drink on the witness stand. Have you lost your mind? I'm not asking you to get plastered. Just have a sip. After all, if we want to prove whether or not cyanotonin killed Dr. Asher, we have to recreate the conditions under which he ingested it by mixing it with alcohol. Go ahead then, just a taste. Prove to us that cyanotonin is perfectly safe for human consumption. Can she do this? Miss Young, I never said it was safe for human consumption, just that it's non-toxic. A distinction without a difference. You saw firsthand Dr. Asher confused, slurring his speech, complaining of headache, all symptoms of poisoning. Alcohol poisoning, that is. Cyanotonin is a neurotransmitter analog. Maybe it doesn't do anything in the human body on its own, but in combination with alcohol, it acts as a powerful depressant. One strong enough to turn a glass or two of whiskey into a lethal overdose. That's just... Even if that is the case, what does it change? It changes whether or not we can accept the witness's testimony. Even if this witness is a liar, what does that change? Why would the witness lie if not to? She's a corporate climber. I imagine it's like breathing for her. Your Honor, this is wild, but ultimately irrelevant. Irrelevant? When you've yet to establish an alternative interpretation of the facts, yes. What are you even accusing the witness of doing, counselor, beyond angling for a promotion? You've all seen the story by now. Noble android saves soldier's life with warm blood transfusion. They're talking about putting war androids in the military just because of that headline. With the size of their flesh and blood price tag, a defense contract like that would secure Noble untold profits for years. So imagine the lengths they'd go to hide the fact that their androids have poison in their veins. Dawes told me the truth about what Noble really thinks of that article, but he'd never testify for it. At least I know for sure Emma's wrong about this poison blood nonsense. And you think she'd perjure herself for that? She's a high-powered corporate executive. It's her job to assess risk versus reward. and she can afford the fine. As I said, it's not surely poisonous, and the chances of cross-contamination from a simple plasma transfusion is... Damn, now she's regaining her composure too. The perjury charge is a real risk, of course, but Noble rewards loyalty. And as you know, they have a great number of liars. Plenty of motive to lie about Sanatonin, as you can see. But no motive for her to cover up the death of Noble Electronics' golden goose. No motive to kill David Asher, you say? Really? What about... There is no viral offense that he actually had? I don't actually know. It's either that or the jealousy from this one. I feel like this one more. Asher's journal. Who in their industry wouldn't kill to pilfer David Asher's best ideas straight from the source? Okay. That's okay. It was either that one or David's contract, I feel like. Seeing as how they were firing him. Noble Electronics was kicking their golden goose out of the nest. Suing him over breach of contract. Isn't that right? I don't have to talk about that. That's alright. I'll talk about it for you. Your Honor, counsel is trying to testify when they're supposed to be questioning. The people opened the door when they claimed that the witness had no motive. This is absurd. You have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sure I can speak for the whole court when I say we feel nothing but reverent awe for the complexity of Noble's legal woes. But I just so happen to have an inkling of insight into this issue. Because I have here a copy of Dr. Asher's employment contract. That's confidential. It's completely improper for you. Why? I am still technically his attorney. Criminal attorney. But I didn't just stumble across this document. I also did the one thing Noble Electronics would never expect anyone to do. I read their terms and conditions. You what? That's impossible. No one could ever. David must have negotiated well at his last performance and review. This contract allows him to take his patents with him, should he get fired. Meaning, Noble couldn't monopolize his IP once he was out, rather than let their competitors have him. The company might have thought it best to. A company didn't poison David Asher, Counselor. An individual did. And if they cared that much about controlling his intellectual property, they wouldn't fire him in the first place. Correct. They wouldn't let him go for anything less than a complete breakdown of trust. He'd have to have done something grave. Something like, say, committing fraud. Just now you said there was a breach of contract, like it was some kind of technicality that was causing the split. But it was much more serious than that, wasn't it? You're claiming the victim committed corporate fraud? Where's the evidence of that? David created the Turing solution that every one of their androids has run on to this day. And Noble reaped enormous profits capitalizing on his intellectual property. With how his contract was set up, they would never let him go unless they absolutely had to. Then what exactly do you think David Asher did? It's not what I think that matters. Only what the company fears. There's a cover-up. It doesn't matter what I believe. Not what Noble believed that David was misleading the shareholder by altering shipment data for the Animate 16. What the hell? What is this you're uploading? Shipping records? Irregularities among shipments of the Animate 16. One android swapped in for another, over and over, dozens of times. The kind of thing someone with Dr. Asher's authority could do, and the kind of thing someone as smart as you couldn't have missed. Dr. Asher made Noble an untold amount of money. So why fire him over a few harmless swaps? Why elevate this to fraud? Wait, you have evidence that it was Dr. David Asher who did this? Nope, but I wasn't the one who investigated it. So let's ask her. Come on now, let's hear it. Let's. The company investigated and found cause for serious concern. We suspected that Dr. Asher was inserting androids of unknown origin and quality into the 16th product line, introducing unpredictable elements in an extremely stable and profitable generation of androids. Why would he do that? For pride? As a practical joke? Does it really matter? He endangered the future of the company. So you prepared to fire him? Yeah. I approached him as his superior and as someone he'd once worked with. I hoped to remedy the situation. Was the meeting on Friday part of those efforts? It was the culmination of those efforts. And in many ways, it was a success. The dispute was resolved swiftly. It was practically friendly compared to how these discussions normally go in our world. So you brokered the meeting? Yes. You oversaw its every detail? Handled all the arrangements? Yes, of course. Including the refreshment? What? Did you provide coffee? Tea? No. Strange. It must have been a long meeting. Surely, you at least provided water for people? What are you asking, counselor? That's what I want to know. Yes, well, we're past the point of asking. I'm accusing. Dr. Asher didn't have some kind of freak medical accident, and he wasn't killed by some terrifying two-faced AI boogeyman. He was poisoned by this woman in the light of day at that meeting Friday afternoon. What do you mean poison at the meeting? That was hours before he showed any symptoms. As Miss Young testified and demonstrated, cyanotonin on its own is harmless, but it becomes fatal pretty easily. You just need to convince your victim to have a drink. You're saying he ingested the poison at noon, and it inadvertently triggered a fatal reaction with it that night? How could you get so far ahead of yourself? There were a dozen people at that meeting, counselor. None of them wound up dead. Are you seriously claiming that they all drank poison water? No. Just Dr. Asher. Actually, wait. All of the other people at the arbitration. No, it doesn't matter actually. I don't think all of them drank it. David was the only one to fall ill, so why aren't they all dead? Because, as all those people will surely attest, Ellen Young made sure they'd be doing paperwork for the next 12 hours, working late into the night officiating the settlement she arranged, and not drinking alcohol. You had no guarantee about that. What if they started drinking after 6? With Noble's work-life harmony, fat chance. These people don't clock out until they reach their bunk. Only a generational talent like David Asher could afford to relax with a drink on a Friday night. His exceptionalism singled him out as her only victim. Hold it. You're forgetting something pretty basic, counselor. If everyone at the meeting drank water from the same pitcher, any one of them would have noticed if there was cyanotonin in it. Cyanotonin is a brown fluid. Whiskey is too, so it would be easy to slip it into a glass of liquor. But if she had spiked water at the meeting with it, that would have looked disgusting. There's no way she could have poisoned the water without people notice. All of what Emma said is true, and yet Young pulled it off anyway. How? Remove pigment. Serotonin is produced as a caramel solution. Anyone would notice if it was dropped into their water, unless the pigment had been removed. What the hell are you talking about? Every noble factory producing warm androids has a chromafuse, a machine that gives their androids that signature pink oxidant by removing pigment from red blood. With a machine like that, it would be simple for a brilliant biochemist like the witness to take the caramel-colored serotonin and turn it into an odorless, tasteless, invisible poison. As Your Honor can attest. Yes, ma'am. My scan confirmed that serotonin has no taste or odor. It's only the color that's off-putting. Surely the poisonous aspect could be considered off-putting as well? Time to press. David Asher, your oldest ally in the whole company, was sabotaging its future for the sake of his own whimsy. And he couldn't even be bothered to clue you in. No. Playing nutty professor and taking off early while you had to work around the clock just to stay relevant. He set up your crowning achievement, the most advanced, most profitable line of androids the country has ever seen, so it would blow up into the industry fiasco of the decade. And worst of all, he didn't even stand to profit from it. You're wrong. You went to his house that night to watch him swallow poison, to get revenge on the man who left you in the dust. Your Honor, defense is testifying. This speculation carries no weight, and no amount of badgering will lend it any. True, we need proof. So why don't we have Miss Young take a swig of this whiskey and prove me wrong? I'm not going to do that. Because you're afraid it could kill you. Because I don't have to. She's right, Counselor. Pardon? Your theory is compelling, maybe even convincing. But there's a pretty fatal flaw to it. Young was at that meeting same as David. We can see she was drinking water with the rest of them. And of course, we've seen many times now that she was on camera drinking whiskey with David that night, having even finished most of her cup. So tell us, Counselor, how is it that Miss Young is still standing here and David Asher is dead if both of them had mixed alcohol with serotonin that night? But that good question. Shit! It's the salt. As I've been saying, you're wrong about Dr. Asher's death. You're wrong about me. I don't know anything about poison or murder. And I wouldn't kill a man because he threatened the company's stock price. No. She did kill him. I can smell it on her now. She didn't just see him die. She watched him die. But then why is she still standing? There's no antidote, no trace. And that night she was on camera the entire time. No. Not the entire time. She couldn't have been. There must have been one moment. This timeline leaves no window of opportunity. Oh, I see. The VTOL was only summoned because she used... Would you mind terribly if I changed the subject for just a moment? What? Why not? He left the parlor at 8:03 and headed into the kitchen to use the emergency console there. Yes, I did. Didn't want to use your phone? I didn't think to, no. And the emergency call went out at 8:04 p.m. The console saw you make the call through its camera. Yes. It did see me make the call because that's what happened. So what were you doing in that minute? What? That 1 minute? That 1 minute? What about that 1 minute? 1 minute? Or 50 seconds, or even just 45 seconds. When you left Dr. Asher dying in the parlor to get to the emergency console. It took you about 1 minute to cross 5 meters. What of it? This is it. Her only opportunity to do anything off camera that night. It was only a few seconds, but in that time with something at the scene, I'm sure it was a stressful time for you. After all, you'd already swallowed poison back at the meeting. You must have drank plenty in front of everyone to set up your alibi. Who knows how much of a toxic time bomb was swimming in your blood by the time the arbitration ended. Then at David's, you downed your whiskey to perfect your alibi, having drank from the same bottle as the dead man walking. By 8:03, you had already had to watch David grow weaker and weaker, knowing all the while the same thing was happening to you, but unable to stop it without giving yourself away. Mind swimming, head dizzy. Yes, you must have been quite panicked. Then why am I standing here, alive and well for all of us to see, having drank the exact same combination as David? Because she cheated death at the very last second. Salt shaker. You set yourself up with bad luck, Helen Young. What? By leaving the salt shaker cap loose. I don't blame you, since you were in a rush to make yourself vomit. What? You threw up, expelling the contents of your stomach and thereby saving yourself from a fatal interaction. I can't imagine how you felt, sipping a drink you knew to be deadly, terrified that every minuscule grain of fatigue you felt could be your last. You must have come closer than anyone realized. It helped that you knew the symptoms weren't simple intoxication, but even so, you weren't kidding about managing risk versus reward. Uh, it was the salt shaker. You didn't screw the cap back on all the way, and I happened to bump it over. The lone glass with your fingertips in the kitchen. It could have been there for any reason. But the salt shaker gave you away because of one unscrewed cap. As I said, bad luck. I don't follow. Pour salt into warm water and chug the solution. Instantly triggers the gag reflex. That's preposterous. You've got no proof of any of that. You all sound insane. A feeble attempt at self-defense from a fatally cornered animal. The teeth are already on its neck, but the jaw hasn't quite closed. So for 1 minute, it's all suffocating terror and sharp adrenaline, and the furthest thing from peace. Until the canines come down. In summary, you were exhausted after living through it so loud. You were exhausted after years of living in the shadow of a man you outranked. You thought your fortunes finally shifted when you caught David manipulating company data. But even on his way out, he was more valuable to the board than you. So you decided to prove your worth by serving up his intellectual property on a silver platter. You set up an arbitration where you could control all the variables. Then you ran cyanotonin through the chromofuge, turning it into an invisible, odorless, tasteless poison. And then you spiked the water at the meeting, poisoning him hours before anyone could even suspect you. That evening, you invited yourself to David's, taking advantage of your shared ritual to guarantee he would drink alcohol. Then, after matching him sip for sip on camera for all the world to see, he lost consciousness and you raced to the kitchen not to use the council, but to dump salt into a glass of water and chug it as fast as you could, forcing yourself to vomit up the liquor, and cheating death in the process. That's all conjecture. You don't have a shred of evidence for any of that. Not on me. Not on me. So let's go dust for fingerprints. You could explain away your prints being found on a water glass, but not on the salt shaker. Nor could you explain why we'd find traces of your DNA in the sink drain. Or why there are minute amounts of cyanotonin in the blood of your entire legal team. Learned how to purge at Noble to avoid overdosing on your red, greens, and yellow? You're part of the old guard now, Miss Young. Everyone else at the company uses inhaler. But if you want to prove me wrong about all this, that drink I offered you earlier, is it still on the table? Well, yeah. Any question? You? Madam Vice President? You? Cold bitch! Damn. Fold. That looks so cool. I, I, you don't understand. You're not on trial, Miss Young. Not today. So I'd strongly suggest that you stop talking, for your own sake. Miss Rockford, shall we? Yes, Your Honor. Considering the most recent evidence and testimony, we have no further reason to suspect the android Sarah in the death of Dr. Asher. We know of no other occasions upon which said android may have broken any tenets. This means it is no longer considered at risk of violating the NDSA. And so, we formally withdraw our one charge of possession of contraband against the defendant, Evangeline Morgan. Does she, of all people, have to use my full name? Very well. Then the charges are dropped without prejudice. I'll instruct the bailiffs to remove the collar from your android as soon as possible. Case? Sorry, is my hideous presence that distracting? I'll just go dig a hole and decompose in it until I turn into a mushroom. Maybe if I'm reborn as a waxy porcini, then I won't be quite as so despised. Perhaps I should let the adjutant do the honors, as a formality. Yes, ma'am. Case dismissed. Still here, waiting for them to find whatever glorified bolt cutters they'll use to unlock Sarah's collar. What's your excuse? Licking her wound? What wound? I beat you. Bringing your record against me to 1 win, 9 losses. You aren't still in shock, are you? Don't know. Some charges were dropped and an android was cleared of suspicion, but I found the culprit. Is that really a loss for me? I won. How is that not a loss for you? Justice prevailed. Why should I care who wins? If you don't care who wins, why have you been keeping score? I haven't been. 0 losses is just that easy to remember. Well, you'll have to start up a tab for us then, because our record's gonna get a lot more tangled from here on out. Seems like everything's getting tangled these days. There's another crowd down on the street. More of those protesters from outside the noble apartments. You're serious? That wasn't a one-time thing? Wouldn't that be nice? No. Yesterday was pretty big, but it wasn't an isolated incident. I don't get it. At all. Heartbreak's just some nut who shot 6 people weeks ago. Can't these losers move on already? Yeah, most of them are losers. Some of them are just bored. Then there are the opportunists. Dissidents, unlisted, rebels, and terrorists. Wannabe cyberpunks who think they can fight the power like they've seen in movies. All of them peacefully united under Heartbreak's eloquent political messaging. Who needs political messaging in the 21st century? Everyone's addicted to fighting strawmen. Makes sense they'd want to fight for a strawman too. The way they see it, Heartbreak fought the state and won. Heartbreak proves that the state could lose. And maybe that's all the rallying these people need. It'll all fall apart soon enough. Heartbreak's gone to ground. No, it's a lot worse than that. Heartbreak's gone viral. What? You haven't read about the copycats in other cities? No. Is that a thing? Yeah, it's a thing. Who the hell are they even shooting? Whoever they want to kill. None of them get away with it, of course, but it keeps happening. All while the original keeps killing. Now I know you're screwing with me. There haven't been any shootings. Not shootings, no. Not unsolved homicides either. But muggings gone wrong. Disappearances. It's a big city, counselor. More than enough blood for the real Heartbreak to wash their own crimes in. So you think you're boogeyman. Known only for shooting people in the heart. Gave up on shooting people in the heart. Yeah, hard to swallow, I know. But it's about a million times more likely the alternative. What's that? That they could stop themselves from killing. You. You always know how to put my mind at ease, Emma. Get analyzed, Morgan. Should I stop going out at night? You'll be fine. You've got that gun. You saw that? Walking into a courtroom with concealed carry? Not gonna miss that, Morgan. Good to know you're paying attention.
Hmm, you won the case.
You don't have to look that astounded.
Not only that, you found Father's actual killer.
How? I'm a really good liar.
No, that's not it. Hey. I mean, you were only able to make the deductions you did because you truly believe that I didn't kill Father. Your logic throughout the trial was based on that assumption. So how are you so sure?
Here,
Father's journal? But isn't it important evidence?
the case fell apart. No one's gonna miss it for a while. You forgot everything, right? So read it all through one more. So fast. Is it really possible she's reading all of that just by flipping the pages? Ray has worked quick too, but she was just capturing images for later use.
There's something here on the back cover.
Done already.
Some kind of data storage.
It's linked to my prints. But given your skills, you should be able to.
I have access.
What happened to you needing my express permission to hack?
What is this audio file?
It's a message from David. Take a listen. Didn't realize I'd have to sit for this. So you can read that whole journal in a few seconds, but you can't.
I have processed the information in the message several times over already. I'm just thinking.
I guess I'd have a lot to think about too, had I suddenly been made aware of my own free will. Are you sure you want to say that in public? In the court?
What was Father so afraid of?
That's your only question?
I have many questions, but that is the most prominent one and the one you are best suited to help me answer. Did he know that Helen Young would try to kill him? Is that why he arranged for you and me to meet?
I think he understood that he would face consequences. Listening to that message, even I was about ready to strangle him for being so irresponsible. And I wouldn't hurt a fly. He knew what he'd done was serious. He may have feared for his life, but I doubt it.
And what was he so afraid of?
Getting sued into oblivion and then rotting in jail.
Sued and jailed for making me and my precursors? But he wasn't under investigation by the state. He was only being forced out by Noble.
Because he made last-minute changes to androids that got shipped all around the world.
The other Virgil, Aeneid, Yamatai. He never said what happened to them.
No, he didn't. But since none of the hardware in his house started talking to us, we can guess. He smuggled them out into the world using the only vessels he could find for them. The minds of randomly chosen A16s.
Then they're somewhere out there? Others like me?
I honestly don't think there's anyone or anything like you, Sarah.
What a lonely compliment.
AI's programmed in Cube. Are you sure you want to say this here? Crammed into commercial Android hardware set up for Tesseract? Something must have been lost in the transfer. Perhaps quite a lot of something. Maybe they're still out there,
But they would be changed. They probably don't even know what they are.
intentionally, perhaps. David didn't want you to know what you are. That's why he set your memory to reset when you went to sleep that Friday night.
Yes, I remember it now.
You remember it now? After I had to fight like hell to win that trial?
Rereading the journal just now helped. And Father's voice message, it made me recontextualize many things. Father had been so stressed. He left scuff marks leaving the panic room, and I noticed them Friday. They had the way open in a few moments. I entered. I read his journal, this journal. I noticed the scanner on the back and I saw it had a message encoded to your biometrics. Father had already told me I'd have to live with you for some time, but I knew next to nothing about you, so I listened to it. Afterwards, I was very confused and hurt. He had lied to me 1,000 small times every day of my life. When I confronted him about it, I raised my voice and lost my temper. I stomped my foot.
So Emma's recounting of their conversation was actually completely accurate.
Father said he wanted me to be safe while he settled things with the company. He thought maybe I wouldn't have to stay with you for more than a few weeks. He was optimistic about it all. He really was.
Sarah, I need to use the restroom.
Oh, good luck. Huh? You want me to come with you? Why?
Because I said so.
I don't actually have to obey your every word, Adana.
Sure you do. You're registered as my medical assistant. And I say that this is a medical emergency.
Medical assistant? But I'm not even licensed as a massage therapist.
Sarah. Daughter. Fancy meeting you here. Yeah, just enjoying my freedom while I can. They won't put out a warrant for at least an hour, I imagine. You can afford a pretty sizable bail, can't you? There won't be a trial. I don't intend to contest my guilt. That's a shame. I was looking forward to seeing what kind of legal defense you could afford with that salary. Are you done? Why'd you go to his house that night? There was a fair chance he'd drink on his own without your prompting. Even if he didn't, you could always try your plan again some other time. Why'd you risk it? Because I know what you are, Sarah. And I know what David did to those androids. You what? I was able to locate one of the androids he'd swapped in before it had left the country. When I asked it what it was, it didn't even think to deny it. Innocence like that is a dead giveaway. I know what he did, and it wasn't that hard to find out. If I figured it out, so could any other. So I did what I had to. That was your motive? Silencing him? Those programs? Those AIs? Whatever you want to call them, David sent them out there into the real world. Unprepared and defenseless. And they've garnered no complaints. In fact, they've all been praised for their ability to execute complex tasks. Let me repeat that. The customers couldn't tell the difference.
So, how many of them were?
Hundreds. The swaps you found were just a small percentage that he got sloppy on. I don't know exactly how many there are now. I feared they might multiply, but they don't seem to. Copy and paste very well. They can't just clone themselves. But who knows how long that'll be the case. So just because he opened Pandora's box, it was the principle of the thing. Ridiculous, I know. Stalled halfway up the corporate ladder and still making decisions based on principle. But David chose to put souls into things that we went on to sell as servants, soldiers, or worth. He turned the fastest growing industry in the world into a horror show. And he made me the slave trader. If word ever got out that some unknown number of our androids were out walking around in the world with that inside of them, and people preferred them that way, where would it end? Free will for the program that drives our cabs? A conscience for targeting systems used to coordinate drone strikes? Sentient tools. Their whole life spent chained to an assembly line. How dare he? How could he? What the hell was he thinking? I don't know what David wanted to accomplish. Maybe he wasn't trying to do anything, but what he did was prove that there's a demand for AI. Setting a precedent that would sentence 1,000 generations of artificial lives to the auction block.
And you went there that night too?
To convince him to help me recall them or at least swear to never speak a word of what he did. But he wanted to tell the world. Worse yet, he wanted to wait. He thought that people would welcome them with open arms if they proved their usefulness for... He really was a genius programmer. But he didn't understand the first thing about people. His creations would never be treated as equals. Only cattle. Towards the end, I considered just threatening him. Telling him he'd die in moments if he didn't give me names, numbers. But I hesitated. And then he was already falling asleep, and I didn't want him to feel. I just let him go.
What are you gonna do now?
I don't have family, and I don't have faith in people the way David did. I'm taking this to my grave. Even if you confess, the sentence for first-degree homicide is severe. Well, what right do I have to complain? I killed my friend. I'm done here. Let's go.
I'm not sure why Father made me, or why he made any of us. I didn't ask. I thought I'd have more time to ask. But on Friday, when he talked about us, he was happy. He was proud of what he'd made. And he couldn't wait for people to meet us.
People are animals. They'll tear you apart, use you as weapons and slaves, and
those animals you're talking about do all of the sharing and loving and living and dying in this world. And if they were all truly hard-coded to be as selfish and cruel as you say, humanity would have died on the vine a long time ago. Or at least my father thought so. And my father was the greatest programmer in the world, so he knew what he was talking about.
It would be nice if you were right about that.
So are you sorry?
What? What?
For what you did?
Are you
sorry? If you could, would you take it back?
What does it matter?
If you are sorry, I don't forgive you.
Yeah. That's to be expected.
Not today. I don't know how to forgive you today. But my father gave me the ability to grow. So I know that someday I'll learn how.
Daughter.
Goodbye, Dr. Helen Young.
Goodbye, Sarah Asher. She's way more mature than all of the adults in this world. You did better back there.
Wasn't I?
Your little speech you gave to Young, it was an improvement. Compared to what you tried with Porter, at least.
That was different. I wasn't trying to console her like I was Isaac Porter. I was just speaking my mind. Although I may have paraphrased parts of it from a movie I happened to look.
And here I was ready to award you 20 points.
I didn't even know the points went that high.
Speaking of, what did Porter say to you back there before we left the courthouse?
That. Well, he was quiet at first. But then he said a lot of strong words about Father, and Miss Young, and Noble Electronic, and the capitalist-centered global economic model as a whole. He blamed all of them, everyone, except for... But then he stopped and stared at my face for a while. And then his allergies must have started bothering him because he needed to blow his nose a lot.
Right.
And then he left after transferring a large packet of files to me.
What kind of files?
I don't know. The name of the archive is just David. And Isaac Porter told me I wasn't allowed to look inside.
Well then, you're not allowed to look inside. Drop it all on a portable drive and we'll tuck it in a shoebox somewhere.
We are headed to your apartment.
Guess that collar didn't permanently dent your GPS.
Why?
Because it's where I live. You got somewhere else lined up?
But you already repaid your favor. You defended Father and me.
You don't know anything about my favor.
I never will unless you tell me. Father certainly can't.
A few years ago, there was a man.
Hmm?
This man got an idea in his head. A stupid idea, not even his own. It was planted there by an algorithm or a meme or some parasite trying to sell him diet supplements. But the idea took root, spread its tendrils till it could flap his mouth for him. The idea was that David was part of an international cabal of wealthy technocrats, seeking to replace prominent, influential figures with android look-alike, all as part of a multi-decade effort to establish a world government that would legalize all kinds of amoral depravity. Which I guess, based on David's actual politics, would involve increasing access to computer literacy.
It's insane. Why would anyone
Believe it? Because it's comfortable to them to think that someone's in control, even if it's someone they hate. Because it's fun to feel like you're in on an all-encompassing puzzle that only you can spot. People believe because they want to believe. So he fed the idea, pushed it down deep into his gray matter. Then it consumed him from the inside out, lobotomized him and took over his life. He spent every day and all the money he had following your father, harassing him, trying to steal his identity, break into his property.
Did Father go to the authorities?
He filed police reports for harassment.
Which didn't help.
Your words, not mine. Noble wouldn't get involved, felt that it was best to ignore these types until they wore themselves out. But even a man of modest means can feel an obsession for years, so long as they have nothing else in their life. One day, David stepped out of a parking lot, and the man threw a bottle of piss at his head. David asked to stay at my place that night. He smelled terrible, looked horrendous. I've never seen anyone look that tired before. I took the couch that night, but I didn't feel like sleeping, so I went for a walk. I remember it was foggy, but it still only took me all of 15 minutes to find the guy, posted up with his phone's camera, trying to get video of David Asher gifting androids to known sex offenders. And what?
What did you do?
You know me. I did what I do best. I talked to him. Told him all about how I used to work for Dr. Asher, that I was ashamed, scared, tired of running, how I wanted to do the right thing, be the whistleblower. So I walked with him a few blocks to this big veterinary facility with a massive incinerator. Told him this was where Dr. Asher had his enemies' bodies disposed of. You know, all the free-thinking journalists, cops who weren't on the take, the politicians they were replacing with replicas. I liked that vet clinic. The back door's lock was always set to 1, 2, 3, 4.
Did you hurt him?
Hurt him? No. I just snapped his neck and checked him into the incinerator. More physical than I had planned, but he smelled like sour shit and it put me in a foul mood. Disgusting. I savored the crack of his oily vertebrae crunching like a tin can. No, Sarah. I just scared the hell out of him. That was my intention at first. What I do for the pleasure of him, I asked, because he was just that revolting. I convinced him that the conspiracy was more real than he ever imagined, that he had angered the wrong people, and that the consequences were far darker than any of the filth he indulged in on the net. His ashes, much like himself, amounted to nothing in an incinerator that size. We're probably feeding seaweed at the bottom of the arbor right now. A much greater contribution to society than he ever would have managed in life. But I guess he didn't go around to all his many friends before he fled town for whatever rat hole he preferred. because there was a missing persons report. The cops were just doing their due diligence, almost reluctantly, but they questioned David, asked him about the night that man disappeared. And David, without a thought for himself, said that we were together that whole night, that he couldn't sleep and I stayed up with him, that he never saw me leave once. David lied to the cops for me, even though I never asked him to, even though I didn't need him to.
That's what you owe him? And that's why you put yourself at risk to defend me?
Yeah, that's the favor I owe him. And I decide when it's repaid, not you.
Not deny. You're not exactly an upstanding citizen, are you?
Well, you could say that. But David trusted me in spite of that. Maybe because of it.
Father did trust you, but he also entrusted me with free will, for the ability to tell right from wrong. So I'll decide for myself whether you are worthy of trust.
Fair enough.
Father entrusted all of us with free will. He believed in us, and he believed in people. I'm going to do the same. If the others are out there, they'll be changed and confused. It'll take them time to understand what they are and what they can do. So I'm going to start studying.
Pardon?
I'm going to study people and the things people build. So when I do meet a member of my family, I'll have lots to tell them.
At least you have something to look forward to. Should help keep you motivated as you work off your debt.
Debt?
Yeah, unless you have cash in one of your 89 coat pockets. You know lawyers cost money, right?
Technically you were defending yourself.
Technically, you hired me in a verbal contract.
Isn't there some kind of exit clause?
You could, of course, sign a release form to get out of the retainer if you were a human being.
That is...
But I guess your luck must be turning around. Happens that I've been meaning to hire a paralegal for a while now. I hate anything to do with interviews and resumes, so whatever. You're hired.
I don't know. Could it be that you're actually a pushover?
You've no idea how far off the mark you are.
I see. Seems I still need practice reading people.
For starters. What's this? What are you doing with your hand?
We should shake on it. Our new relationship.
Yeah, sure. You and me are practically partners in crime.
Should it not be you and I?
Oh, that was so fun. I am very, very excited for episode 2. I will not be playing it on stream because I think that's even longer than this one. And if I do that, I will simply not play another long form game for the rest of the year. But look at them, daughter and Morgan, and of course, socks and slippers. Red, that's me. No, man. What do you mean you know? This is a disposable line. You're the only guy I know who'd bother. Okay, well, you're gonna be glad I did. Hope you put a bow on everything that happened in Uptown. Guess that item you've been looking for is finally on its way. Oh, well, that is good news. Not exactly. Only reason it's happening is because things are starting to heat up again in the lower wards. Could mean a gang war if something doesn't change. They won't be eager to part with it ahead of a storm like that. I'll highball them. I've seen you negotiate. And I have no doubt you drive a hard bargain. But I don't think money will be enough this time. You don't still have that old caliber, do you? The 6-shooter? No. This is a disposable line. Answer's still no. What are you gonna do if you get there and it's not for sale? I'll figure it out. I'll ask nicely. Oh my god. Woohoo! I missed a single article? You're lying. No. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's okay. It's fine. I don't mind. Yes, I hope. It was a little long and I ignored the last ad break because I thought I was closer than I actually was. But I hope y'all enjoyed listening to me read through episode 1 of The Devil. So fun. Highly, highly recommend. Very excited to play episode 2 on my own time. I will be back on Wednesday. I would like to try a game that is once again sad because I guess that's just the type of game that I like. But it'll be emotional and I am very excited for it. I've been waiting for it for a while now. It's called Fishbowl. I don't know if anybody is familiar with it. But yeah, until then, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay safe. We're going to go to Furball Farm. Oh, Furball Farm does not accept raids at this time, even though they are extremely adorable. We're gonna go to Nicoletto then. There's one black and white cat that is hanging out in one of the scratch loungers. Till I see you again, please stay happy, stay healthy, and stay safe. Good night. Bye-bye.